Welcome to JW Struggle. I felt like making a video today to talk about meetups, to talk about one of the most beautiful places I've ever been on planet Earth, which is where I had the meetup, and also to share an experience with you with a new friend that I made up there in gorgeous, beautiful Lake Tahoe, California. Went up there again with my good friend Flipper. He puts on a fantastic uh, Apostafest or TTATTfest. You can say it either way if you don't like the word Apostafest. And we just had a great time. You know, we go up there every year after the 4th of July weekend. And I've had lots of you over the last few years say, hey, when is that? Oh, I wish I could go. Uh, and you know, that's it. The spirit is there as far as wanting to go. And there's so many well wishers, so many friends of mine in Virginia, friends of mine in other places that have said, oh, I wish I could go. And we wish you could go. And for those of you that were there, it was just so fantastic to see you all again. You know, there's a place just around the corner from South Lake Tahoe where we were camping called Emerald Bay. And if you want to type that into Google, you will see possibly one of the most beautiful places you have ever seen. Me personally, I have traveled to places in Europe. I have traveled all over the United States where I live. And I can't think of anywhere more beautiful. I mean, all I needed was a pet panda, and I would have been in paradise. But you know, there was some bears, but I didn't want to make them my pets. But I just have to tell you that it was just a gorgeous, gorgeous 4 days that we were up there. There was about 50 or so former cult members, cult survivors from the JW cult. We had escaped, we have escaped, and we were just up there, you know, hanging out, relaxing around the campfire. A couple of us had guitars and were strumming away, sharing our fire, sharing our food. You know, I want to share with you or just talk about some of the things that people said to me and said to each other. Uh, one individual said, you know, this is all a bunch of exJWs, but uh, I thought it was going to be wilder than this. It was pretty tame. It was tamer than some of the JW gatherings I used to go to. So I thought that was funny because yeah, I mean, you know, we had some beverages there to drink and things like that, but yeah, overall it was just people sharing their experiences, lots of hugs. Hugs are not off limits when you have a meetup outside of the crazy wacky world of Watchtower. That's for sure. I love giving hugs. I love getting hugs. And you know, it's human touch. Everybody needs human touch. And if you have not got a hug lately, you know, just pick a friendly face and just say, "May I have a hug?" And you know what? It's amazing. I've done that before. May I have a hug? And I always get a hug. I haven't been turned down a single time. Of course, you got to ask the right person. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, right? But I'm getting off the track. So TTATTfest was a huge success. Next year, we will be doing it again the weekend after July 4th holiday. It's an American holiday, anyways. If you're an American, you'll know. But after July 4th weekend, the following weekend every year. So we are already planning, Flipper and I are already planning a couple of things to do next year because it will be the 10th anniversary, the 10th year that cult survivors from the cult of Watchtower will be meeting up there to just, you know, hang out and talk and just relax. I mean, we went swimming. That water, that beautiful crystal blue, clear water, very similar to Maui. If you've ever been to Maui in Hawaii, you can see so far down in it. Of course, the temperatures, not similar at all. It's a bit cold, but my friend Eric, he coaxed me into the water one day when I didn't want to swim again. We were laying on the beach. Our skin was warm and tingly, and he said, "Come on, let's get in again." And I was like, "Okay, all right." So I went about 20 feet in, the water's up to my waist. I turned around, put my arms out, and I just fell backwards. The old Nescafe plunge, if you remember those old commercials where the person would have the iced tea and they would just fall backwards into the pool. I just fell back into the water, and yeah, it hit me. In fact, later we were making jokes about that old Seinfeld episode about shrinkage, but that's for another story, another video. But yeah, and we swam around. We had some inflatables. We hiked down to Emerald Bay, which again is just pure paradise, gorgeous. So it's a good way to get the old stress tank on empty and to just de-stress yourself. And also to just chat, to get it out. And it's funny, I was telling one of my friends afterwards when we were chatting, I said, I don't talk about exJW stuff that much anymore. I really don't. It's been coming up on 5 years that I've been awake from the cult, and I've gotten so much of it out of my system. You know, you have to get it out of your system. And it doesn't matter if you've been out for a month, a year, 10 years, it doesn't matter. If you haven't cleaned out that Watchtower programming, get started. Just do it, and do it in a way that feels good for you, that's cathartic for you, that's healthy for you, and you're gonna notice a difference. You're gonna it's like a weight, that gets lifted off of your shoulders. It really is. You know, uh, we shared experiences, we shared friendship. We just had so many things to talk about, and people to get to know, and people to get reacquainted with. I made a new friend with a fellow that lives in the area that I'm used to be from, and we knew a lot of the same people, which is amazing. And I'm going to try to make a trip over there to see him, sometime later this year. And that's, to me, that's what it's about. It's about making friends and letting those old unhealthy patterns go. I didn't need to go get drunk. I didn't need to go get high. I didn't need to do something unsafe. I didn't need to be bitter and angry and all these stereotypes of what an apostate is. No, I didn't see that. I did not see that. Now, I will tell you this. Someone told me later, they said, it's interesting how you all kind of swirled around and developed into some of the patterns that you're familiar with or that you're used to when you were Jehovah's Witnesses, when we were Jehovah's Witnesses. But I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing. I mean, we started going around and everybody was shaking each other's hands. Hey, how you doing? Hey, it's good to see you. Some people like to use the phrase brother, sister. Sometimes I use it, but I don't mean it in a Kingdom Hall kind of way anymore. I mean it in a camaraderie way. But yeah, I mean, I will admit it. Some of the phrases, we were occasionally quoting some of the old tropes and cliches that we used to say when we were in the twoof. And yeah, but that's just patterns and habits. Old habits die hard, and they can snap right back when you start talking about that stuff, which we were doing. We were doing that a lot. Now, there's an experience that I want to share with you, and a gal that I made as a new friend. Her name is Nikki. It was just fantastic. But I mean, at first it got me peeved, but you know what? And it got her peeved, got her upset. But once again, sometimes we have to talk about it, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through Skype, whether it's commenting through YouTube, and particularly meeting people. Have a Coke, have a beer with somebody, and try to talk to them. Find some of these former members and commiserate, because it really is healthy. So Nikki says to me, she says, "Yeah, I got a letter from my mother," and of course, her mother is still in the religion. She got one of these come back to Jeehoover letters from her mother, which, you can understand her mom, still loves her daughter, but it's like, an extra helping of guilt, an extra helping of the knife in the back when you get these letters sometimes, and I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about. So she gets this letter from her mother, along with the booklet, Return to Jehovah, which is their, if you're not familiar with it, the Washtowel Society has come out with a booklet specifically for disfellowship people, faded ones, inactive ones, to try to, get them back in the club, get them back as card carrying, paying members of the group, you know, and we know why they're doing it. And of course, they sharpen their claws by reading and frequenting apostate, boards like Jehovah's Witness.net and Reddit and Facebook. They go on these things so that they can find out what they're doing wrong and how they can pitch these little things back to try to pull people back in, like the mob, which is what they are. They are an illegal crime organization, an illegal corporation masquerading around as a charity. Anyways, I'm ranting, I'm digressing. So she says her mom sends her the booklet Return to Jehovah, along with a copy of her notes of an interview that her mother and her mother's husband gave at the assembly. Well, guess who was one of the featured topics for discussion with her mother's part in the assembly? Well, it was Nikki. And Nikki has been out. She's a successful person today. She's going to school. She's got a business. She looks good. But her mother didn't share any of that. Her mother just shared how she's been keeping a stiff upper lip and how she's been strong and faithful and not wavering in her shunning and her cutting off and her discarding of her daughter, and not associating with her toxic daughter anymore. And she just hopes and prays that her daughter will return to Jeehoover. So her mother felt the need to send her the booklet and send her, the notes from this part about how she's soldiering on and she's not wavering in her devotion to the organization, and its wonderful and loving advice about how to treat disfellowship family members, like gum on the bottom of your shoe, basically, right? And I am exaggerating, but it's just sad. It certainly didn't cheer up Nikki. It certainly didn't encourage her. She says to me, I'm sure mom didn't talk about, how well I'm doing and how I have a business, and I have a boyfriend that loves me, and this and that. Oh, no, no, they don't want to talk about life after Watchtower. But there is life after Watchtower. And, these meetups are good for that, to help us forge bonds, to help us, just get that toxicity out, talk it out. Whether it's making a YouTube video, whether it's doing a blog, whether it's giving a comment, below this video, or whether it's on a Facebook group or Reddit or a board, a message board, do that if you can, if you think it'll be healthy for you, do that. And just express yourself. Be anonymous if you need to be anonymous. Come out and use your name or put your picture on there if that feels better. I had one friend of mine, we did an interview a couple years ago, and it was so liberating and so cool for him to go on camera and say, you know what, I'm free, come and get me, come and get me. And the irony of it is they still haven't come after him. And here it was a couple years later, and when he said to me, he goes, I'm still waiting for him to come after me. Because he was actually looking forward to it. So, it can feel good to do that, to proclaim your freedom, to proclaim, here I stand, here I stand. I can do no other. That's what Martin Luther said when he was having his ridiculous heresy trial for standing up for his conscience, at the Diet of Worms. But, we have these familiar patterns that we can fall back into, but we don't have to fall back into those things. We don't have to do anything but what makes us feel good in our heart and in our mind and in our spiritual well-being, whatever that means to us today. We're going to figure it out. We are going to figure out what works for us and what's healthy for us. And we don't have to numb ourselves with anti-anxiety medications and alcohol like we did when we used to go to the kingdom hell, because that's what so many of these sad, overweight witnesses are doing today. And I can't even tell you how many people they get out of the cult, they change their attitude, they change their life, they lose the weight, they get healthier. And that's not to say that, that we're all that way. I know I still have a few pounds I need to lose, so that's another story. But get healthy, get happy, and make it happen, because we really can do that if we try. And I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, and I also wanted to mention this coming Sunday, the 17th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's my time. I'm a California boy. I love California. I'm proud to live in this great country of California. And 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's right. I said country. 9 p.m. Eastern time, and that would be 1 a.m. in the UK if you live over in the European areas. It's a bit late for you, Monday morning, 1 a.m. But we are going to have a live YouTube. Well, I'm going to be on a live YouTube show, the Vast Apostate Hour, and I'm proud to say that they wanted to have me on there, and I'm looking forward to it. Teensy bit nervous, but I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go on there and say whatever comes into my head. Pop into my head, pop right out of my mouth, and I'll say it. And I'll do it with respect and also with irreverence, because I guess that's kind of my personality. But so if you can tune into that, the Vast Apostate Hour, I'll try to put a link in the description of this video for that. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that you can join me for that and support that really cool channel. Eric, son of thunder, super smart, super cool dude's going to be in there. Gilbert Gonzalez, hardworking man of wisdom and principle. He's going to be on there, and some other great people, that I'm not sure who they are, but I'm sure they're great, are also going to be on. I can't remember right now, but anyhow, that's it for me now. I'm rambling, so that's my signal to myself to stop. I want to start getting back in the swing doing videos. I don't know. I might be driving the next time. I might not be. I might be interviewing somebody. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Take care, my fellow strugglers. I love you all, and I hope that you have a fantastic weekend.